Hi, everybody. My name's Amy Whitney, and I'm here with Curtis Davies from Real English Conversations. And today we're going to be having a natural conversation talking about a topic that most of us have had to experience over the past few months, which is working from home. This is something that is not new for us at all. And the quarantine was definitely not the first time that we had to learn how to work from home. So we're going to be talking a little bit about our experiences, what was difficult for us, what we liked about working from home or what we like, and what was just challenging to overcome in the process of the adjustment and all of the things related to that. So Curtis, can you tell me a little bit about when you started to first work from home?
It was the very, very first year that we moved here. And it was something that I wasn't really used to, from being a delivery driver to getting into an online kind of situation. So
Mhm.
I had some challenges for sure, but it was in the first year.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, we're just going to rewind a little bit. So back in 2016, we moved from Canada to Mexico. And previously, we owned and operated a small delivery service in Kelowna, British Columbia.
Mhm.
And we had a few employees that we worked with. And in, I can't remember which year, but about a year or so before we moved to Mexico, we sold our company to two people that had been working with us for years, but we
Mhm.
continued to work as delivery drivers with them during the transition period. And an interesting thing happened that for me, for example, my work from home started about 6 months before we moved to Mexico because
Mhm.
it was the time where I was trying to build up the website and form a way for us to be able to live abroad, to live in Mexico, and to
Mhm.
have a source of earnings. And that was a lot of work. I had to build online courses. I remember
Mhm.
recording the speaking fluency course, doing videos explaining what the techniques are and creating the exercises and things like that. I also was doing a lot of the marketing stuff to try to get the business exposed to people on
Mhm.
the internet, writing a lot of blogs and doing podcasts and editing and just all of the stuff behind the scenes that you guys have no idea that we do. That was the stuff that I was doing.
Mhm.
And the reason why I was working from home and Curtis was not, it had to do with our car, right, Curtis?
It did, yeah. It had to do with our car. We originally started out with two cars. I had one and you had one. And
Makes
then the
sense.
one
We owned a
the,
delivery business. Okay.
so after a while my car died. It had some problems. I probably had something to do with the wrecking the transmission or the
I
clutch or
think,
something.
yeah, it was something really expensive. I think it was the transmission, the motor, or the clutch, like something that was the same value of what the car was worth at that point. So we were like, let's see if we can sell it for something.
Yeah.
And do we want to buy a new car? And we knew we were going to be moving abroad one day. So we
Mhm.
decided, could we survive? Could we function with just one car? And what was the solution that we came up with to live our life as delivery drivers with one car?
The solution we came up with was the car was scheduled to work for however many hours.
Hmm.
So what we ended up doing was splitting the work shift. So I would
Hmm.
do the day shift and come home after working the day shift, and then Amy would hop on the road and do the deliveries for the night.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And during the day, Curtis would leave to go to work, and I would jump on my computer and I would start working. And I can tell you that that was a really, really hard adjustment. I was alone in the house. I went from
Mhm.
being someone that had a lot of interaction with people, doing a lot of different activities all day, to sitting in front of my computer and doing things that I needed to focus on intensely for several hours. And it was hard. I would move from my desk in the living room because I thought, oh, I want to look outside. And then I'd move to the desk in the back room because it was cooler back there and quieter. And then I would move to the couch because I didn't want to be at the desk anymore. I'd go to the fridge, I'd walk around for a while. I even was inspired to do exercise at that time because I just didn't want to work. I didn't want to focus. And it was a really, really hard adjustment period. But by the time I got to Mexico, I was used to working from home. So it was easier for me. What was
Mhm.
it like for you when you first started working from home when we finally got to Mexico?
Well, it was the opposite. It was very difficult for me to change into that role of working from home, because it really opened up a lot of distractions and
Hmm.
procrastination for me. So I had a difficult time separating, the house chores and the cats, doing the litter box, cleaning the litter box and looking after the cats and uh, all those typical kind of house chores. I couldn't
Hmm.
separate the home life from getting into work and making that go. So that
Yeah.
was a big, huge challenge for me.
And also, I think that you weren't really used to like an administrative sit at a desk. We call it a desk job. So
Mhm.
you weren't used to that desk job. And furthermore, our house wasn't really set up with a home office yet. So
No.
we were using, I think when we moved here, we were on a very tight budget. We knew that we only had a certain amount of savings. And if we spent more than that we were having to go back to Canada if we didn't find a way to make a living. So I remember we bought these terrible chairs, and Curtis couldn't
Wow.
stand sitting on his office chair. He needed more cushion.
I had like
And
6 pillows on the seat.
yeah, and we bought the desks that we're still using today. It's just a simple glass desk, and
Mhm.
we have much more comfortable chairs now because we learned that having a good quality chair is very, very important when you have a home office or you're working from
Mhm.
home. Otherwise, your back gets sore and you start to have problems with your body from the position that you're in
Mhm.
all day, basically. Yeah. So, anyway, we totally hear you guys and the frustration and difficulty and the just this stressful feeling, even though it's not stressful working from
Mhm.
home, it's stressful because your brain doesn't want to focus. You want to do other things. You think you relax at home, you don't work at home. And I think for us, one of the hardest things was when we moved here to Puerto Vallarta, we
Mhm.
were very distracted with what it was like outside, right, Curtis?
Yeah, it's that blue sky, and you see these palm trees outside, and you think, I wish I could go outside and enjoy this. Yeah, you live in this tropical paradise, but you have to work and get things done. So that was
Exactly.
another thing I could add to my list that was difficult to deal with for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, just imagine having this sort of atmosphere a few blocks away from your house. We actually moved to a very beautiful area. So,
Mhm.
Puerto Vallarta has this beautiful water, palm trees, mountains. This is the downtown area.
Mhm.
And here's the famous pier. So you can
Oh yeah.
see it's a very, very beautiful area that we live in. And this was literally tempting our brain like, but the vacation's just outside. The vacation's just outside. Can we go outside? Can we go outside? Can we go outside? So it was actually very, very, very frustrating. Kind of like being stuck inside during a quarantine. We have the situation happening again. Hey, it's outside, but we can't go to it. So,
Mhm. It's like, oh, the
yeah,
beach is exactly 5 minutes away, eight if there was a red light. But at the time when we
exactly.
started in the first year, the
Uh-huh.
beach was walking distance.
Exactly.
And that kind
Mhm.
of, oh, if it's that close, but you're at home working.
Yeah, you can't. You have to stay in and you have to work. So we know it's really, really frustrating. So, anyway, once you get over that adjustment and you start to realize that working from home isn't so bad, and you connect a certain space, maybe in your house where you do your work from, what do you start to like about working from home? Like, what are the points you like?
The points that I like, I think most. people, most bosses and things like that, if you are working from home right now, are pretty flexible with when you work and what you do, how many hours a day, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And I really like the fact that I have that flexibility. When you can set your own schedule and
Hmm.
know when you're going to work and when you're ending. I also
Right.
like the fact that I don't have to drive
Hmm.
or commute to any particular workplace. So I don't have to worry about accidents or traffic jams or any of that. And because my job, our job was driving all the time,
Hmm.
it's a nice change. I really like the fact that I'm not driving around.
Exactly. And you start to realize that the cost of transportation, whether it be your own car, maintaining the car, gas, insurance, all of the things you need to have that vehicle, or
Mhm.
if you're using public transportation, it's time consuming. If you add up the amount of time that you're commuting to work and you're commuting back every single day, that's unpaid time. You're not getting paid for that time to get to work. And
Mhm.
a lot of people that I know, they spend up to an hour or more in some cases commuting to work. So that's a big burden on their life to have to worry about the commuting.
Mhm.
For me, I really like the fact that going back to that flexibility, we do have flexible schedules in the way that, for example, if Curtis has a lesson at 10, he can either start working at 9 or 10. You know, if he has some administrative work to do, he could start working at 9. Or maybe if he didn't have a very good sleep the night before, he can sleep in a little bit longer and just attend that lesson that he has. So, it's kind of the same for people that have office meetings that they have to join and things like that. You're still going to have commitments that you have to do, but the
Right.
flexibility is more about the start time or the end time. Like one of my students, she's from the Ukraine and she's living in Toronto or near Toronto. I don't think she's in Toronto, but, and she was telling me that her husband, his job, phone calls, meetings all day, call, call, call.
Ah,
So
okay.
he has the priority, we could say his job has the priority, and he has to work during the day. And for her, with the kids being at home with homeschooling and everything else, she cannot work until her husband is finished working.
Ah,
So her job is a little bit more like a project manager, and she's able, not really, I don't know what she does, but she does something that she can do in the evening, and the work is more like people are waiting for her reply or review so she can, deal with that after 5 o'clock when her husband is done. And so
ah.
a lot of companies have to be flexible considering the situation that we're in. So do you miss anything about working at a company?
I really like interactions with people. So, for instance, when I worked in a video store or the delivery job, I really like the usual regular customers and interacting with them
Hmm.
and having small little chats and things like that. We had a lot of really cool customers that we dealt with on a daily basis. And yeah, I miss that interaction, with those specific people, the regulars
Hmm.
that were really nice. So, and then like when I worked in other jobs like the video stores, I made a lot of friendships and connections with coworkers as well. Some of them
Hmm.
even became roommates um, with me. And yeah, I really miss that.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things from the delivery business that I liked is, well, we had regular customers that I did look forward to seeing, and they would call maybe once a week, and you'd have a 5-minute chat to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And I also liked certain people that worked at some of the places that we picked up products from. So it could be from certain restaurants. Maybe there's a manager that's working there, and you're, oh, hey, how's it going? And you have
Mhm.
a quick chat. And yeah, it was nice. It was kind of like different people that you were seeing throughout the day was really good. I think for us, because of our job and the nature of our job, we talk to
Mhm.
people all day. Like for me, I talk to people 4 to 6, sometimes 7 hours a day, and I don't really feel that I'm missing that connection with people.
Right.
But when I was working at home in Canada, working on building the courses and things, it was a really big difference. Fortunately, at night, I had some opportunity to get out of the house, and I usually did my grocery shopping at night during slow times when I didn't have deliveries, because like I said, we only had one car. I had to do it at some time. So yeah, it was that was the time when I got my social interaction in. But I don't really miss very much. I think that we have adjusted, or anything that we're missing, we feel like we have it now with our current
Mhm.
situation. So
Exactly.
let's talk a little bit about productivity. Productivity is a process that you go through to really try to get more done in less time. And
Mhm.
there's one side of working at home where you can have extreme focus and no distraction if you don't have kids running around and this sort of thing. But when you're at home, you can really control your environment a little bit and focus. When you're
Mhm.
working at an office, people interrupt you, they have conversations, they want to have meetings all the time and things like that. And it can be less productive. So let's talk a little bit about what you do, Curtis. What do you
Okay.
usually do to try to stay on track and get the things done that you need to do? Like, this isn't, this is from a self-employed perspective, really.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Some of the things that I want to create for myself to keep me on track are things like a to-do list with tasks, and I try to prioritize them and know that I can spread that out during a course of a week. But what I like to do is plan the night before, the next day or two, maybe.
Mhm.
And then I know, okay, this is work time and this is the project and task that I need to do tomorrow and the next day. So it really sets my mind to
Mhm.
think of work first
Mhm.
and always have that in my mind and that type of mindset.
Mhm.
So it's less of a chance of having other things like distractions and things that can put in procrastination into
Mhm.
my life. It lowers that possibility by having a plan, a to-do list, and actually looking ahead into what you want to accomplish for the rest of the week.
Exactly. Like, you have to actually create your own to-do list as a self-employed person. I
Mhm.
think on one side, when you have your boss telling you, or your manager saying, hey, I need you to do this report, and you're like, oh, okay, when is it due? They give you a due date, and you don't really need to think about what you need to do or creating your own tasks. I think that
Mhm.
that's something that is probably a little bit easier. But I can tell you, because I've been self-employed for a really long time, I've become a master at this. And recently, because I'm working on growing our team, and instead of being a one person does all with Real English Conversations,
Mhm.
seriously, I have been operating this website for about 4 years, almost all alone. I maybe use a transcriptionist and an audio editor, but aside from that, I pretty much had done everything on the website. But
Right.
I started to work with some other people. So now I have an assistant that helps me, and I have a couple of people that are responsible for some marketing tasks, and a programmer that is fixing some things on the website to make it better for our students.
Mhm.
But holy man, my to-do list, oh, I think I have a Google document with like 60 pages in it, and I have 10 new thoughts for every one that gets done. So it's very, very difficult to organize all of these thoughts and actually get anything done. But I can tell you, I have so much to do every single day that, and I'm so used to working for myself and from home, I am really programmed. 9 o'clock in the morning, my goal is to get into my office and start working at 9 o'clock, if not earlier. And I have a lesson at whatever time, 10, 11, 1, 2, and 5. And in between, I know exactly what I need to get done. I know what the priorities are, and I just go. And this is, it's crazy when you have a to-do list that you're never ever going to finish in your life, but you know you need to keep going forward and try to hit those deadlines. So yeah, for me, I am a productivity master, I think I can call myself now. But I do get a lot done in the day, and now I'm coordinating a small team on top of it. So
Uh,
it's
I,
been challenging.
I think I've seen you take one or two things off a to-do list and one or two things replace it and go back onto the to-do list for you.
It's like I do one thing and 10 go on. It's a losing battle, but the ideas come fast and furious to my brain, and I am always striving to make better things and to create lessons that are useful for people or improve the experience of our students. It's really, really important for me to do that. So if you see something and it's kind of dysfunctional on the website, just know that I am trying. I'm doing my best, but I'm only one person, and I can't really do too much. Curtis and I record the podcast together. We do the live lessons together, and we're doing recordings like this together. But aside from that, Curtis basically does teaching as his main priority, and I handle the administrative stuff and all the technical stuff on the website. That's my responsibility.
Mhm. It's our
Yeah.
two specialties, I guess. I specialize in one thing, and
Mhm.
Amy is just a specialist in what she does.
That's right. Yeah. And we found that it just works better for us to have some things that we work together in, but we're not doing everything together
Yeah.
because, I need some experts that are experts in organization and that sort of thing, which Curtis is in training, but
I've got a
All
great
right.
trainer.
Yeah, well, you've got an expert. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap up this conversation for today. That was a great discussion about
Mhm.
working from home, some good vocabulary. And if you guys have had to work from home or learn how to work from home, maybe you can share with us some of your experiences. You can say what the most difficult part is, what you like the most, all of those things that we
Mhm.
discussed with you guys. So we'll see you next time.